Lonzo done messed up his button pushing finger, y'all.
Yeah, I forgot about that till that moment when I went to push the button and it hurts. But we play injured around here. There's a story behind it. I was at a local steakhouse yesterday, went to cut the bread, which is a little bit harder than I expected, and the knife slipped and caught my finger, which I've never done in a restaurant ever. And just happened to be my button-pushing finger.
Button-pushing finger.
Luckily, my wife had a Band-Aid, so I had to try to hide my finger to put the Band-Aid on so people eating in the restaurant couldn't see the blood.
Yeah, the worst part is, after you do that, which happens to the best of us, that thing you have to cut still isn't cut, and now your cutting hand's all messed up.
Well,
that's the worst part.
It wasn't my cutting hand. It was...
the holding hand for the cutting.
Yeah.
I cook a lot, right? Like I cook. I do most of the cooking at the house between me and the lady friend. And
not because she can't cook, but because you want to cook for her.
Yeah,
of course.
I enjoy cooking. I enjoy trying stuff out. I enjoy cooking for her. So I like cooking. I cook a lot. I cut myself with regularity. All right. At this point, the question is not so much if, but when I'm going to hurt myself in the kitchen. It is inevitable. The worst part is you never cut yourself after the thing's been cut. And she is a germophobic hypochondriac, right? So the second I'm like, because you do most of us, I don't know about you, Zoe, I cut myself. The reaction is always the same. It's always... right? Like the inward breath, like you're just trying to keep the blood interior.
Yeah, that's me. I mean, when I've broken bones, that's me. So yeah.
And then she hears that and she's like, wash your hands. I'll get a Band-Aid. And before I can finish cooking, it's got to be like Band-Aid, peroxide, etc. And the thing's still not cut. Well,
if she didn't have a Band-Aid, I probably would have had to leave because I don't want to gross anybody out in the thing. If we're at home, I'll just wrap a towel around it so I can eat.
Rub some dirt on it. Walk it off, champ. It's all right. Lonzo's button-pushing fingers all messed up, y'all. So, champions rise to the occasion, right? Play through the pain.
It's all right. I can use both hands. I could say ambidextrous. I was just kidding.
I like that you put yourself on pressure with that. Keegan said, Savannah gets upset because I refuse to slow down, and I cut myself about once a week. Last week, I cut the tip of my finger, and we had a come to Jesus meeting about it. Newly married Keegan having the come to Jesus meeting of, can you please stop hacking your own fingers off, please?
Here's where you really freak her out and say, bring me the thread.
I got to tell you, Keegan, if you are cutting yourself so often that your wife has to hold an intervention about it, I need you to put down the My Chemical Romance music and just take a cooking class, man.
Or stop watching all the cooking shows and thinking you could chop that fast.
That's my problem.
Yeah, it's like, well, they could do it, I could do that. Yeah.
That's my problem is I watched one more episode of Beat Bobby Flay,
which we were watching last night.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Love some Beat Bobby Flay. Chopped, I'm all in on some Chopped. Anything on Food Network, like Food Network and The Office are my it's time to go to sleep show, Because I've seen every episode of The Office 11 times. So I can put it on and it's background noise and I don't really have to pay attention because every fourth line I know what's going to get said, whatever. But Food Network is way up on the fall asleep priority for Rob Brown. And what inevitably happens is somebody drops a sandwich they made on Diners, Drive-In, and Dives. That guy goes banana over. And I'm like, I can make that, right? I can make that. I can do that. Keegan says Chopped was 1,000% created by a poor person who had to make dinners from their empty pantry before grocery day. You had better, but last night was last night I made a mock-up stir fry, right? Because we bought all these, we bought some veggies. We've also, we've started a garden. And so we've got all these extra veggies, tomatoes and cucumbers and whatnot. So last night, let me make a homemade stir fry. And the thing is, I don't like, stir fry, you have the big peppers. I don't like big chunks of bell pepper. But what ends up happening, though, is instead of just taking my time and slicing up the bell peppers, I'm like, let me do that cool thing where they're like, and in a second, they've chopped 4 bell peppers into dust. Let me try that. And I inevitably put my Ginsu knife through the tip of my finger every damn time.
Is there anyone in this building that you think could do that? I mean, just looking around, I bet Chris Evans could do that.
If there is somebody, it's Chris.
And he would do it with an arrogant smile going, I know you can't do this. Watch this.
So I'm close. The problem is you can't really practice that, right? Because the only way to practice that is with a sharp-ass knife, right? If you try to do that dicing method, where you hold down the edge of the knife and you just like lift it up and down real fast and move it around. If you do that with anything but a super sharp knife, you just mash your peppers down.
Yeah, that never works, and I don't think we have knives that sharp. I've tried that thing.
Oh,
and
see,
I just can't.
I spent good money on knives.
I don't like the sound of the knife being sharpened, so I can't. It bothers me.
See, my knives are probably irresponsibly sharp.
Do you have that bar thing where you?
Yep, sure do.
I don't know what that thing's called,
a knife sharpener.
Is it called a knife sharpener?
I think so.
I don't.
I've got one of those, and then I've got a knife block. Why are we talking about this? Who cares? I've got a knife block that has a built-in sharpener in it, right? So you pull the knife, you stick it into the sharpener slot, you just pull it out shing, 3 or 4 times, bango, your knife's ready to roll. And then, like I said, you can't practice knife techniques with anything but a super sharp knife. And the next thing you know, you've lopped off the top of your pinky that is now in your salad. And you're like, And if I tell the lady friend about this, she's going to make me cook everything else from scratch. I'm just not going to say anything. All right, let's get to some sports, shall we? Texas said, Rob, true chef test. Do you grill your fillets or cook them inside? And if inside, what's your go-to way? Lonzo, we have a charcoal grill, right? We have a charcoal grill.
Are you a snob? The only best
No,
food
I'm not.
is
In fact, I honestly prefer propane, with one exception, which is if I can find I don't know what other word to call them, but the flavored, the aromaed charcoal. You know what I mean? Where you can get like hickory charcoal. You get wood chips that you can throw in there. You can get apple wood chips and throw them over the charcoal and kind of give the smoke some flavor to put it in the meat. I'm not a charcoal guy. I'm just a grill guy. I don't have a preference for charcoal or propane. Both have their cons and drawbacks, the pros and cons.
Yeah, Keegan says, "Welcome to Brunch with Brown." I don't think that works. I mean, it's a good title, but I don't think brunch happens till like after 10.
Yeah, bro. I don't know. It depends. So to answer your question,
At the country club, when does brunch start?
9.
Does it?
Yeah,
okay. All right. So there again,
mimosas are on the
99 over here, 1 over there, so you would know.
Yeah, 9 o'clock brunch. So I prefer to grill my steak. The secret to grilling the steak, though, and this is where everybody blows it, right? Concentrate your fire on one side of the grill and get it as absolutely ridiculously hot as you can get it. I mean, inferno hot on one side of the grill. Then the key is, though, and this is where everybody makes their mistake, the key is to throw it directly over the fire and get that good sear on it, right? You got to get the sear on the outside. Then, once you got it seared on the outside, you move it over to the other side of the grill so it's off the direct heat and the indirect heat, and then you let it cook to the internal temp of whatever it is you want to cook it to. You cook it outside, you sear it first, Then you move it over indirect heat and you go from there. That's the proper way to steak. Anything less, you're creating an inferior steak. Why would you do that?
All right, Keegan says morning meat with Rob Brown. That doesn't work because it's got to be morning meat with beef. That's what it's got to be.
I am not beef.
It's a play on words there. No, but, beef is the guy who does morning meat. That's the name of Beef's show.
Doctor said, Rob, dude, sorry, but get you a cast iron skillet and some grilling olive oil sear, finish with garlic butter in the oven, steakhouse quality. I do that too. I am a cast iron guy.
A lot of those cooking shows, they sear a bunch. So
you can do it that way too. If you want to do it inside, cast iron's the only way to go. You throw it in with some see, I go butter though, right? You can do a little olive oil at the base, but I go butter, and what you do is
butter.
You melt a chunk of butter, right? You melt a chunk of butter, like a big chunk of butter. So the bottom of the pan's coated in butter. You throw the steak on there. You sear it on one side. You sear it on the other. You drop the heat down. But this is where people get lost, Lonzo. You drop the heat down. Then once that butter's good and melted, you put some garlic in there. You gotta take the clove and you gotta chop it up yourself, right? You can't use like the seasoned shaker of minced garlic. You gotta cut some fresh garlic. You take some fresh garlic, you throw it into that butter, and what you do is, as the steak is cooking, you take the spoon, you scoop up the butter off the bottom of the pan, and you just keep basting it on top of the steak. Just keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that. After 3 minutes, you flip the steak over, other side. Baste it, baste it, baste it. Throw that sauce on top. Use that spoon. Throw that sauce on top, and you just keep doing that until it's done. That way, the butter cooks into the steak. That's a top tier way to do it too. But I will also tell you, it's much more work. It's just as good of a steak, but it's more work.
People in the stream really want you to do a cooking show, and so if Rob were to do a cooking show, I could be on that show, and I'd be the guy that antagonizes the chef all the time. I'm gonna be that person who just basically cracks on the chef the whole time they're cooking. Because I think I could do that.
Were you on the show yet, Zoe? I can't remember. Were you on the show yet when I made the at-home Doritos burgers?
Why, yes, I was,
I thought
Rob.
you were. I thought you were.
I'm hurt that you don't remember that.
Listen, it's been hey, my AC gets fixed next Tuesday. All right, that's been my whole life right now. Last year.
By the way, that was such a year ago.
I was gonna say that was pandemic time still, right? Wasn't I still working from home at that point? I think.
No, I think you were here.
Was I?
Yeah, I believe you were here.
I made the where you crush up the Doritos in the plastic bag and you turn the Doritos into a dust, and then you make your burger out of that. And I did that, and it was all right. It was pretty good. I think once you cook the beef kind of eats up some of the flavor of the Doritos. So it's not as potent as you might think. That or I just didn't use enough. But I did like a whole family-sized bag of Doritos. And I'm almost aggravated to tell you that when I posted that video to the ESPN, or at the time ESPN Upstate Facebook page, now the Fan Upstate at facebook.com/thefanupstate, when I posted that to the Upstate page, that got more views and comments than any sports content I have made since I moved here. There were genuinely like 350 plus views and comments on that video when I posted it.
See, here's the thing. Sticks to Sports guy doesn't get the fact that people tune in to hear the sports. Absolutely. But they want to hear that the people who are telling you about the sports are actually real people and do other real people stuff.
Like cook Doritos into hamburgers, like responsible adults.
Yeah, that's what real people do.
Go no cheese on that, by the way, because the cheese will overpower the Dorito dust if you're going to go with that adventure. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in the Rob Brown Show's on the radio. It's the Fan Upstate, and this may shock you, but we do have sports to talk about today.
Hey, it's your fault. You keep going back into this.
Dude, it's Friday.
Or we could blame Keegan. Let's blame Keegan. Yeah, it's all Keegan's fault.
Keegan. P1 Keegan did this. It is Friday. You know, we go, shall we say, off course on Fridays. Fridays get weird. That's 3, Lonzo. My goodness. I'm going to blame that one on your finger.
I was going to say, when you're playing hurt, sometimes, you know.
I'll let you off the hook. We'll say it too.
Nah, it counts.
So,
even though
Friday.
I did was go, it's still, I mean, if you want to count that as a word, that's all I did.
No, I'll keep it 2. Fridays get off the rail. So, Here's what I'm going to tell you. I've done this a couple of times in the past. I almost always and inevitably regret it. The text line is open. All right? The text line is open. The Preferred Home Services text line, the number is 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, at 71307.
And the second word has to be Baker!
Baker! Start your text with FAN, and I will do this today, and today only. Lonzo and I will react to whatever text you send in. Anything. Now, if it's FCC non-compliant, obviously, you know what I mean. If it's FCC non-compliant, obviously, we're either going to have to censor it or ignore it. But any question you have, any take you have, anything you want to get to today, it is an open, what do they call it? Like a free-for-all Friday.
By the way, I let me speak for Rob here and say you can do it on the stream also.
You can leave comments on the stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate. You can go to YouTube, search and subscribe to the Rob Brown Show and watch the show live all 3 hours every single day. Plus, when you do that, it allows you to jump into the chat like Keegan and Miss Lisa. Steven's in every day. We got Tayshawn. We got all these guys that hang out with us every single day.
He's ignoring you, Josh, but you got like
That's
10
Skrilla.
comments. I know, but you got like 10 comments. You just totally skipped over him.
I did not. I said Skrilla first.
No,
That's Skrilla, not Josh.
You did not.
Anyway, the point is, jump in on the Facebook stream. On the text and in the Facebook chat today, Lonzo and I will react and respond to anything. Does not have to be sports related. It can be food. It can be entertainment, pop culture, any questions you might have. It is free for all Friday. Anything and everything goes. I'm in a mood today. Texter says, fan. Baker! That's the whole text. That's the text. I like it. All right, coming up on today's show. Text, fan, and then your comment to 71307. Coming up on the show today. Got a bunch of stuff I want to get into. Kevin Durant has asked for a trade, and since then, nothing. Arguably the most valuable free agent in the league since Braun went to the Lake Show, and there's no moves being made right now. Why? I got some thoughts on that. We're going to break that down later on. Baker versus Sam. Baker versus Sam. Day 2 in the books. Matt Rhule said yesterday after camp that the Carolina Panthers are nowhere near ready to pick a starting quarterback. And I got to tell you, I don't know if it's because the team's been bad or people just don't like Matt Rhule. Lonzo very frequently accuses me of looking for a reason to criticize something that I already don't like, right? Like if you don't like a thing, you go in looking for things to criticize about it.
Tim Tebow, Urban Meyer, a couple that come to mind.
I criticize Tebow because he deserves it as a quarterback, not a guy. I criticize Herb because he sucks
WWE.
at everything. All right? But the point is, if you've got a bias against something, that entity is going to have a real problem getting anything right. So yesterday, Matt Rhule says the Panthers are nowhere near ready to pick a starting quarterback. And Panthers fans are like, oh, you're the head coach. That's your job. You're supposed to pick a quarterback. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, I get you don't like him.
Did you just go Gungan?
Blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
I get that you don't like him. I get you when I'm gone. I understand all of those things. Hell, I'm up in the air about whether I agree with you or not. But of course he's not ready to pick a starting quarterback. One of them has been a Panther for a total of 6 practice hours so far. 6!
But through some touchdowns yesterday, I understand. It was probably hard for people to actually report that, but yeah.
Well, I have a Panthers Day 2 recap for you. And I'll tell you why you need to lay off Matt Rhule now. You need to lay off Matt Rhule. You need to chill. All right? I'll tell you about that coming up in just a little while. We talked about it yesterday. Did not get into the meat and potatoes yet. But Heisman Trophy odds have been re-released by Las Vegas. And there's been a little bit of movement. So, last week we told you that Pro Football Focus put out their college football 2022 quarterback rankings. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the money has moved a bit. The odds have changed up a bit. So who is the hands-on favorite? I will tell you. Where is DJ? A guy that was ranked behind Spencer Rattler in the Pro Football Focus quarterback ratings. Where does he rank according to Vegas, who are, pretty good at their job? I'll tell you that coming up in a little while. All that and more coming up on the show. Texas says, fan, beef, Baker, and boat. Yes. Yeah, Fridays get weird.
Armada, baby.
The Armada lives. Texas said, Kyle Murray is a worthless, and then another word after that.
I don't know who Kyle Murray is.
Kyler, sorry.
Okay.
No, they literally type Kyle Murray.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know who that is. He probably is a piece of whatever.
Unless you're talking about Bill's brother. I'm assuming you meant Kyler. Kyler Murray is worthless.
I think Bill's brother's Brian Doyle Murray, by the way.
I think Bill's brother is, oh, hey, you're Bill Murray's brother. Must suck to be that, right?
I think his actual little brother was on Scrooged, by the way.
I believe you are correct.
Yes.
Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. I got all those topics and more. Are you more likely to watch the LIV Tour now? LIV Tour has got an event coming up this weekend. It is going to be at Donald Trump's course in, New Jersey, I think? The initial round of bleep you guys to the LIV Tour seems to have chilled a little bit. Are you going to check it out? And I'll tell you, the LIV Tour is doing one thing that the PGA Tour is not. The PGA Tour is overthinking it. All that and more coming up on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Alonso, you this. Is the fan upstate?
Come on, Joseph. Chris Winkie, really?
Chris Winkie.
He was like a 35-year-old rookie. This guy makes me excited about something that's happening this weekend. I can't wait for this. Read slower. Working on that email. It's Friday.
Read better.
You ever have that week where you're just being so goofy that you wish the week would end before you really get yourself in trouble? Me neither. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have put the bar stool back there where the Little Tykes thing is, because I think it takes away from the grandeur of the Little Tykes. I'm going to go move it. There we go. Now it looks more like a shrine again. And now the shrine has been defiled.
What'd I do?
Turn around and look real quick. Doesn't it look like the Little Tykes is a shrine?
All right, let's see. What do we got? Beef with Brown might be a segment where we just talk about the things we're angry about this week. Beef with Brown.
Ooh, I could do a wonderful intro for that.
Yeah. That might have to go. I thought about doing...
Does it have to be sports beefs?
No. Beef with Brown might be coming down the pipe.
Guess those for what? Oh, thank you for...
Cheetos breaded chicken. I am interested in that, but I would use the flaming
It's
hot
not.
Cheetos.
It's not. They had it at KFC. It's not.
It's not good?
That's the one where we went there and there was an orderly standing there seeing us all getting ready to eat it. And he looked at me. It was a black gentleman in scrubs.
Yeah.
He looked at me and shook his head. So my first thought was, okay, the medical profession says this is a bad idea. I think it can be good if the Cheetos dust is spread evenly.
Yeah.
But if it's pooling in the grease of what you're eating, it's
I
probably...
think you got to flash fry that, right?
I don't know. Maybe you mix the Cheeto dust in something that will help it grab a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe some egg.
All right, let's see. Luke says, Matt Rhule's a good coach, maybe not in the NFL, but I'm willing to give him one more season. Yeah, Lonzo says he's got one more after this one. If he gets to, would you say 7 wins?
I think I said 8.
8. Josh says it's Baker's time in Charlotte. Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah, Bubba Watson did join LIV Tour. Baghdad, Florida's own Bubba Watson, just outside of Pensacola, did just join.
Wait a minute. Baghdad.
Baghdad, Florida.
Yeah, Baghdad.
Yeah, it's right next to Pensacola.
And then LIV Tour. Did you do that on purpose, or was that just coincidence?
No. That's,
Middle East.
That's where he's from.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
yeah.
Baghdad, Florida, just outside of Pensacola. And Baghdad's interesting. It's a town of about 180 people, built along a creek that they call a river. And the most prominent feature in Baghdad, Florida, where Bubba Watson is from, is a Dairy Queen attached to a gas station. Bubba's done all right coming from that.
All right, so at what point does a creek become a river? How wide does it have to be before it's no longer a creek?
Difference between a creek and a river.
These are important questions, and we're asking them for
A river is
you.
usually bigger than a creek, although there are instances where the word creek is used for a larger body of water, depending on the place or country where it's located. Rivers flow in channels and have branches or tributaries, while creeks do not. So, if a river has splits off of it, whereas a creek does not. Asking the big questions here on the breaks.
So, if branching, so we asked what's the difference between a creek and a river.
We should tell people what you're about to say before you say it.
Yeah, what's the difference? I asked the question, when does a creek become a river? Because Rob was talking about in the stream, which you should watch so you could get this wonderful content, was talking about how in Baghdad, Florida, it's a town along a creek.
Where Bubba Watson's from.
And they call that creek a river, and I'm curious, when does a creek become a river? And according to Rob's definition that he just read.
According to the website differencebetween.net, where they just say, it's an entire website that is dedicated to just telling you the difference between two similar things.
All right, so apparently a river runs through where I live then, because our creeks branch off into other things. So other creeks or rivers. So a river runs through the compound. I was unaware, and now I know. So when my bridge went out, it wasn't a bridge over a creek. It was a bridge over a river.
Bridge over troubled waters.
It was.
Rivers flowing.
Remember, I sang that on public access TV in Columbus, and they kept playing it over and over again because it was so bad. So embarrassing. Flipping through the channels, there I am just killing that song.
Rivers basically are larger than creeks and have branches off of them. That's what difference between .net says.
I'm thinking this is not a credible source.
Also, a creek can be formed by water coming from the sea while a river flows toward the sea. So there you go.
Okay.
I'm reading you what I found.
So you can't have rivers anywhere where there are no seas?
I don't know, Lonzo. I'm telling you what I read.
All kinds of rivers in Ohio. Ain't no sea around there that I'm aware of.
Yeah, but they all branch into what? Like the Mississippi, which goes to the Gulf of Mexico. I'm not
Does the Mississippi, isn't it like the Ohio River that they branch?
Yeah, but don't they all flow in it? I'm not doing a river segment, all right?
You just did.
I'm not doing a river segment. I can't do it.
You said anything goes today.
It does. Okay, maybe we're doing a river segment. Texter says, my wife left me. My job is not going well. My dog is sick. My truck broke down. I have no friends. My life is a country song. What do I do to not throw in the towel?
Pawn something that you have that's of value and go get you a guitar because your story needs to be told. Preferably with some twang.
Call Alan Jackson. He's got you. In all seriousness, if this is a genuine text, my guy, number one, keep listening to the show. We're here to keep it light. I know life sucks sometimes. All right? But that's why we come in here and have a good time with this every day, to be a break from that. Number two, go hang out with your dog. Unconditional love is the best, and you only get that from a dog. Go hang with your dog. Spend time with the dog. I promise you, when things are going sideways, that's where dogs are the best. Go hang out with your dog. And then sit down, look at everything else that's going down, grab you a piece of paper, write down the list of things that are good, figure out why those things are good, and work to spread that into the other aspects of your life. There is something good going on in your life right now, and it might be simple. It might be simple. Run to the grocery store, grab yourself something to make yourself a damn good dinner tonight, and sit down and enjoy it and focus on that. Focus on that one good thing. And then figure out why that thing is good and how you can apply it to other stuff in your life, right? So if the job sucks, sit down, write down the pros and cons of why, and figure out maybe it's time for a move. Maybe it's time to step out and do something big. My life sucked. My life sucked when I lived in Jacksonville, Florida. My dog died in Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah, no, I'm a country song too, pal. My dog died. My Jeep broke. I was stuck living in an apartment with a succubus of a woman who hated everything about me. And, oh, by the way, you want to make it worse? I was babysitting her kid while she was off doing other dudes. You want bad? I was in it, my guy. And then I went, you know what? Screw this. I got to blow it up. So I applied for a job in Greenville, South Carolina, a place I had never been in my life before. And I moved everything away from the only place I had ever known in basically the Florida Panhandle. And I'm doing all right. Man, if things are bad, get dramatic, baby. And here you go, texter. Our boy Skrilla just threw into the chat. Tell him to come to the Triumph match tomorrow. I've got an extra ticket. You want to get out? I'll tell you what. If Skrilla's up for it, texter, and you want to get out of the house, shoot me another text on the Preferred Home Services text line. Tell me you want that ticket. I will get you in touch with Skrilla. Come out to the Triumph tailgate tomorrow at 4, before the match at 7. Come out to the tailgate, pound a brewski or 3 with us, listen to some music in the parking lot, and then let's go to a Triumph game. We got you, man. We got you. Sit down, write out the good stuff, figure out why it's good, and then make decisions and take action. That's how you get past that. All right? Make decisions and take action. And don't worry about what anybody else thinks about it, my man. Don't worry about what anyone else thinks about it. You figure out what's best for you. Hug your dog. Cook yourself a damn fine dinner this night. While you're eating, write down what is going right in your life, and then how you can apply that to the rest of it, and then make some decisions. We got your back, my guy. We absolutely do. Another texter says, hey, texter, I listen to the show too so that I feel better about myself. My thought? At least I'm not Rob. Just use that for perspective. I love you guys. I really do. The best part is, Alonzo, there's every bit the chance that that text comes from somebody who is a fan of the show as a guy who genuinely hates me. Who knows?
Nah, that text was full of love. I can feel it.
Texter, if you want to get out tomorrow, shoot me another text. Tell me you're good. You want that ticket. I'll get you in touch with Skrilla. You can come tailgate and go to a match with us. Get out of the house. Have some fun. Texter says, if that guy's that depressed and goes to a soccer match, he might throw in the towel. That's messed up, my guy. That's messed up. Texter says, my advice to that texter, don't ask Liberob for advice. You know what? I'm a good person and I'm good at this, all right? I just gave that guy killer advice and I'm right. Sit down, find out what's going right, figure out why you are happy about the things that are going right, focus on those for a little while to get your head right, apply that to the things that are not going right, and make some damn decisions and take some damn action. All right? All right.
I just saw Jim Ross is talking about beef. That guy's everywhere.
Freaking beef, man. Baker v. Sam day 2 went down yesterday. First day of training camp, Sam Darnold clearly outplayed Baker Mayfield. And I was watching Rashad Beard in the Panther Nation podcast, right? By the way, Baker said, don't bring Browns jerseys to Panthers camp, which is great.
I had that on Twitter trending yesterday. We didn't get to it. Yeah, that he just won't sign them.
What if you're a big Browns fan living in the upstate, and this is your, like, genuinely first chance to see Baker? And you're like, I know it didn't go well, but I'm a big Browns guy. I loved you. I loved you in C-Town.
Didn't go well. I mean, come on. Have a heart.
It didn't end well.
No, I mean, if that's what you're thinking,
went well.
If that's what you're thinking, you didn't watch the whole situation. I could get why he wouldn't want any of that.
It's kind of like,
and that also bodes well for that first game when he will start against the Browns.
It's kind of like if you're friends with somebody in a relationship and you like their partner, like y'all aren't friends, but you like them, right? And then they split up because your buddy did something wrong, right? And you're like, yo, I'm still in your corner, but you messed up, right? That's got to be like being a Browns fan right now. You can be a Browns fan, but still be like, you guys messed up. I'm still in your corner. You're still my squad, but you guys blew it, right? What if you showed up and you're like, Bake, listen, I know you're not going to believe me, but I'm a big Browns guy. You were my favorite of the 917 quarterbacks we've had in the last 6 years. I'm really sorry it ended that way. They screwed up. I still love you. Will you sign my Browns number 6 jersey? You think he's going to drop a no on you?
I just don't think you should do that. I mean, have a heart. You're saying, hey, they didn't want you anymore. Could you sign this piece of something that came from the team that didn't want you anymore? Come on. And why in the world do you have a Browns jersey?
Masochism. Baker Mayfield ran with the number 1s yesterday. Darnold ran with the numbers 2s. Not a surprise. Matt Rhule told us that was going to happen. Mayfield quarterbacked relatively well with the first teamers of DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, CJ Saunders, Ann Thomas, and Christian McCaffrey. According to reports, was making quicker decisions than Sam Darnold, which is, what's the word I'm looking for here? Friggin' obvious, with all due respect to Sam. The problem with Sam The problem with Sam, the number one problem with Sam, it's not his ability to throw the football. Because when he makes the right decision, Sam throws the football well. It is not release. It is not fundamentals. It is not mechanics. The only problem Sam has, and he has not been able to get past it, is decision making. Making the right decision and making the right decision more quickly. That's it. That's the only issue Sam's had, is he doesn't make the right decision quick enough. If somebody can climb into Sam's head and get that guy making decisions and making them more quickly, Sam Darnold is still a guy that can be the guy. But yesterday, Baker Mayfield showed that he's got the thing that is going to put him over Sam Darnold. He was making decisions. He was making them rapidly, and he was executing them. Now, they weren't always the right decision. He did have a couple of mistakes. In fact, on back-to-back throws, Dante Jackson was able to get the mitts on a Baker toss. Now, Dante dropped both of them. In fact, there was a video going around about it where Dante was slapping himself in the helmet because he dropped a pair of easy picks, one of which he was able to get up and elevate over a back corner pass that Mayfield threw to Robbie Anderson. Dante went up, got mitts on it, but lost it going to the ground. Next pass, Mayfield threw a corner route to DJ Moore. Jackson again jumped, again got the mitts on it, and again dropped it going to the ground. However, after those two passes, the first 4 snaps of 7-on-7, people were like, oh, God, Baker's not good. After those 4, completed 9 of the next 12. 5 of those 9 went for TDs. Now, again, it's 7-on-7, all right? No pressure, no pass rush, not the end of the world. But 9 of 12, 5 TDs for Baker after that, including a 30-yard play-action bootleg pass to DJ where Baker came out from under center, faked the handoff, booted right, got to the sideline while gaining depth, right? Recognized and realized that the corner on that side was stepping up in the blitz, so retreated before planting the back foot and throwing a beautiful corner strike route. Was able to hit more in stride, TD. So back-to-back near picks to open, and then 9 of 12, 5 TDs after that. The decision-making was there. And that's it. That's it. If Baker makes better decisions and makes them more quickly than Sam, he's the starter. That's just how this works. Free for all Friday. Text us anything you want to 71307. Start your text with FAN. When we come back, those of you that are beating up Matt Rhule because he said it's not time to pick a starter yet, you guys have got to calm down. You've got to chill out. I'll tell you why next on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. www.odyssey.com/thefanupstate/listen, which is how I say that now. Oh, man.
Mr. Beast has hit 100 million subscriptions on YouTube.
100 million. Golly.
Wonder what's that like? I mean, there's got to be some pressure there, right?
100%.
But if you have 100 million, do you notice when you lose like 1,000 here or there?
I would say no, right? Like, cause that's an exorbitant amount of people. My question is, does there come a point where you're just like, I'm out of content? Like, I've got no idea what to. Doesn't he? But he gives away like buttloads of money, doesn't he?
Apparently, yes. I've never watched, but I'm guessing he plays video games.
I want to say he was like one of the OG YouTubers that just does goofy stuff on air, and then
like your boys, the Paul brothers.
yes, and then but he got so big because he started. I have seen him do stuff before where he'll bring like 50 people and he'll put them into a warehouse. I saw one where he brought like 50 people in a warehouse, and he said he painted a big black circle on the ground. And he's like, last person standing in the center of the circle gets like $100,000, right? And then, like, people were just hanging out for a couple days. And then he had his boys come in, and they started shrinking the circle every day. So not only did I have to stay in the circle, but the circle got smaller. And then he started getting to the point where he would have people do physical challenges. So it would be like, if you walk this balance beam from this side of the circle to the outside of the circle, and you make it to the outside of the circle, I'll add 10 grand to the prize. Or if you go like you can get over there and we will give you a catered dinner by yourself that everybody else has to watch you eat while all they get's like sandwiches and water. But the balance beam would be this big, and if you fell off and you touched the circle, you were out. And he just kept doing it. It was actually it was something I started watching because I'm like, what the hell is going on the internet? And then I genuinely got entertained by watching these people try to suffer through this thing.
Sounds interesting.
I'll put it this way. Of the YouTubers, he doesn't buy. I don't hate him.
Well, he must be doing something right to get that many.
100 billion. Right? 100 billion or 100 million?
Lad says he tipped an entire house to a pizza guy.
Yeah, it's always been stuff like that.
Well, the problem with that, if you're the pizza guy, you got to pay the taxes on getting tipped a house. Unless he covered that too, which would be awesome.
Yeah, from what I understand, he genuinely gives away hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So you think Dwight Howard could actually make it in the WWE?
I mean, his promo wasn't that good.
I mean, physically. I'm not talking about that. He can work on that.
I mean, if Shaq can do it, Dwight Howard can do it.
Karl Malone still was a natural. That's a guy you could see actually do it for a long time back when he did it. Rodman, I never thought that was that big of a deal. Because he just showed up and hung out with Hulk Hogan.
Greatest character ever. Wrapping up hour number one here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. I popped on social media yesterday evening after the reports from Panthers camp started going live. Matt Rhule did his presser and said, it's not time to pick a starting quarterback yet. And I saw Panthers fans start to react on social media with, but that's your job, Matt. It's to pick a quarterback. Calm down. Take a deep breath. All right? Matt Rhule did not say, I'm not going to pick a starting quarterback. Like they're going to roll into the season with a pair of QB1s. Matt Rhule said, it's not time to pick one yet. And it's not. It's absolutely not time to pick a quarterback yet. Baker Mayfield has had 6 hours wearing a Panthers helmet. 6 hours. A pair of 3-hour-ish practices so far, and that's it.
You know what I haven't heard, and I don't know if you have either? How did Darnold do with the twos? Because it was all over the place what Baker did with the twos. What did Darnold do with the twos?
As a matter of fact, I looked that up. Let me just give you the sentence that was dropped by Ellis Williams, who is covering camp. He wrote up a QB comparison about day one and another one for day two. And he wrote down what Bake did, and he wrote down what Sam did. Here are the opening 3 sentences of his review of Sam Darnold on day 2. Quote, once again, Darnold kept the ball short. He rarely threw a pass longer than 5 yards. Instead, favoring underneath routes to his pass catching group, he did the same on the first day of camp. So, you play Madden. You're a Madden guy. We're all Madden guys. Everybody plays Madden. I want you to go onto a Madden game, and I want you to pick a spread offense in the NFL, and I want you to put it on all Madden mode, right? Just put it as hard as it gets, and I want you to run the game. And what you will see if you are not a quarterback trained to read progressions and trained to read defenses, what you're going to see is that the easiest thing to do is the underneath dump routes. And that's what it sounds like Sam Darnold's doing right now, right? And again, I don't have any ill will towards Sam Darnold. It just is what it is. We're just critiquing. Sam Darnold looks like he is playing on all Madden mode, which for a guy who said, I'm seeing ghost, makes sense. That is part of why Christian McCaffrey is so damn important. It's also part of the reason he gets banged up every year. Because when the easiest thing to do is just hit the dump route, right? Hit the escape valve. And the escape valve is as talented as 22. You know what I do if I'm Matt Rhule? I send the first team offense out there to run these plays, and I don't put 22 in the field. If you are going to use the dump route, you're going to learn to use it with somebody who's not that talented so that you're not putting 22's knees in jeopardy every play. But basically, Darnold, who did not throw a touchdown in that 7-on-7, was just bailing out on plays. At least that's how it reads to me. Let me take a break. We'll come back after this. My name is Rob Brown, the great with Lonzo at the helm. 2 hours left of the Rob Brown Show on a free-for-all Friday. It's the Fan Upstate.
DJ Moore can't have jaw-dropping numbers if he has no one really to throw the ball to him. Trey, just saying. And now he may have a shot with Baker.
Baker. I can't even do it right now. Anybody listening to this promo who doesn't like wrestling is going to be like, what a... I got things to do. You know, Big Show did an interview yesterday where he was talking about fans saying, you know, he's had more turns than a NASCAR race. And I think I came to the genuine reaction that if I was a professional wrestler, I would just ask to be a career heel. I just never want to be face.
Heels have more fun,
100%.
but faces get to meet the kids and all that kind of stuff. So it depends on what you're into. So obviously you should be a heel forever. Prisma in the first break.
10-4. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. What's happening, y'all? Great to be with you once again. I am Rob Brown. Across the metaphorical glass from me, the man in charge of the broadcast today, makes it sound as good as it does. If you like it, he gets all the credit. If you hate it, he gets all the blame. The great one, Lonzo, is in the pilot seat today. If you want to be a part of the show, there's lots of ways to do it. 844-FAN phone, 844-FAN-FONE, 844-326-3663. The Preferred Home Services text line is there for you. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. You can also tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo Onward, and at The Fan Upstate gets you to everybody. And my email address stays open as well, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. No, you don't spell out the word dot, it's a period. That's how vernacular works. Rob Rob Dot
That's
Brown.
that's kind of snotty. I mean, no, you don't spell it out. Some people might actually.
You know, at some point in history.
There are literal people out there who go, okay, DOT.
Right.
Why is this not working?
Right. If you haven't,
It's not their fault.
The internet has been publicly available. The American Online days were like 30 years ago, guys. All right? You know what that means. Rob.Brown at thefanupstate.com. It is a free-for-all Friday. Anything that you text to the text line, tweet to the tweet line, or drop in the Facebook comments by going to facebook.com/thefanupstate, or on the YouTube comments by going to YouTube, liking and subscribing to The Rob Brown Show, and watching the show in its entirety for all 3 hours. Anything you say, any topic you want to talk about, Lonzo and I will respond to. Anything at all. We have gotten questions about life advice. We have guys that have just texted Baker to the show. Whatever you want, we will react to all of it. Heisman Trophy odds are out. National championship odds are out. And there's been a little bit of movement. Lonzo, let's play the Rob Brown Show Home Edition. Because this number I found striking. According to Vegas, the top 4 odds-on favorites to win the national championship are whom?
Alabama
Is one.
Ohio State
Is one.
Georgia
Is one.
Here's where I'm struggling. 4.
Don't overthink it, and there's a reason that I would bring it up on this market.
I was going to go there. I'm pausing for effect.
I know, but
which means how in the world could this team be, considered when they still have that quarterback that people want to have transfer?
This was me just trying to pique people's interest by letting them guess it before you say it on the radio, and then they can go, "Oh yeah, I nailed it."
You killed my moment. Clemson.
That is correct.
I'm sorry, Clemson. There, I got it back.
Now, it is not striking to me that Alabama, oh, by the way, you got them, not only did you get them, Lonzo, you got them in perfect order. You got them in the correct order of Las Vegas. Alabama is a plus 180 Las Vegas favorite to win the national championship. That is to say, bet 100, win 180. Ohio State is plus 300 to win the national championship. Bet a hundo, get $3 back. Georgia is plus 350. Bet 100, get 350 back. So Bama plus 180, Ohio State plus 300, 3-1. Georgia plus 350, 3.5-1. Lonzo, would you like to take a stab at what Clemson's number is? Bama plus 180, Ohio State plus 300, Georgia plus 350. What's Clemson's number?
400.
How about plus 1,100?
Wow, there's that much of a drop between 3 and 4?
Yup. Yup.
They're still up there, though.
Now, this is the second interesting part about this. Bama plus 180, Buckeyes plus 3, Georgia plus 350, Clemson plus 1,100. The next highest 2 teams are USC and Texas A&M. If you are keeping track and playing the Rob Brown Show Home Edition, take a guess. Clemson is plus 1,100. Take a guess at SC and A&M's 2 numbers. They're different, but they're close. Lonzo, you want to venture a guess on this one?
I'm going to go with 1,400.
USC is plus 2,200.
Wow.
A&M plus 25.
So, according to Vegas, they're that much worse than Clemson. or rather Clemson's that much better than them, but the top three are astronomically better than all those teams.
According to Vegas, Clemson has twice the odds. Well, I should say half the odds, I guess. Half the odds to make it to a national championship as USC. Means they are twice as likely to make it and win the dance as the Trojans. Now, my immediate thought, Zoe, was, well, yeah, that makes sense, right? Clemson's going to have a favorable schedule compared to most of the big dogs because the ACC is down. But maybe not. Maybe not. I just went and I pulled up SC's schedule. SC opens on September 3rd against Rice. They've got maybe their second most difficult game of the year. September 10th, they take on the Cardinal, Stanford. Stanford's not what they were when McCaffrey was there, but they're not a terrible little team. Then they've got Fresno State, Oregon State, Arizona State, Washington State, Utah, Arizona, Cal, Colorado. Then they go back-to-back tougher but winnable games. Or tougher games, one winnable. November 19th, they got UCLA. Their soon-to-be Big Ten partner. And the one reason, now I will tell you this. Part of the reason that USC's odds are twice the long shot that Clemson is their final game. Rivalry weekend, they finish it out at the house, but they finish it out against Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame has a new head coach. They lost Brian Kelly. They lost a handful of transfers out when Brian Kelly left to go down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. If that game is played week 1 instead of week 14, Notre Dame's probably sitting at plus, would you say plus 14? I'd say that's fair. Probably about plus 1,400. But you can't lose the last week of the season and get into the playoff. Or if you do, you'd have to beat the dog snot out of everybody else, right? If USC was going to lose to Notre Dame and find a way into the playoff, number one, Notre Dame would have had to lose to somebody else, which hurts you anyway. And number two, you'd have to beat Rice, Stanford, Fresno, Oregon State, etc. by an average of 45 points a game or so. You cannot lose in the last week. And the assumption here,
but they still have Pac-12 championship, right? They still have the championship game.
They would still have the Pac-12 championship.
So they could still come back and get another victory, which would probably help them if they were to win the championship.
I don't know. Because, again, if you lose to an undefeated Notre Dame, it looks good on the resume, but it's so late in the season that even with the conference championship in tow, is it a look?
If you lose by like 1 or 2, and then you go out and you blow out whoever it is in the championship game, maybe.
Maybe.
And it's also going to depend on the seasons that all those other guys that are up above you have.
So Bama won plus 180, Ohio State plus 300, Georgia plus 350. Clemson has 3 times worse odds to make the championship than the number 3 team, and they are number 4. There is a massive drop-off. 2 reasons I attack this. Number 1 is to talk Clemson ball, right? We had a texter last week say, since expansion and NIL, I feel like we're not really talking X's and O's anymore. And that is correct. But also it's July, right? There's not any X's and O's happening right now unless you want to spend 4 months breaking down games from last year. I don't. We're really good at breaking those games down, but we've done it 100 times. You guys know what happened. We know what happened. Let's look ahead. Now, we can analyze the upcoming X's and O's, which we've done, and we'll do it again. That's not the right word. I have told you guys in the past that outside of this market, Dabo Swinney does not have a positive rep. Outside of this market, outside of Clemson fans, Dabo Swinney is not liked as a coach. All right? I've also told you, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't give a vote. But outside, and the reason Dabo is disliked is because even when Dabo was running a dynasty for the past 7 years, people got tired of the, oh, poor little old Clemson stuff, right? You are the powerhouse. Everybody's looking up at you. You ain't poor little old. You're the king, my guy. However, that actually might work out well for Clemson, right? That actually might work out well for Clemson. It might work out well because Vegas is already looking at you guys as a steep drop-off from the top 3 teams. Lonzo, remind me, how many teams go into the playoffs at the end of the year?
As of now, that would be 4.
That's what I thought. Although the Big Ten announced that, not announced. The Big Ten discussed pushing for 16 at their media days last week. We'll come back to that in a little while. Anyway, Vegas says there are 3 and then there's everybody else. That's not even true. Vegas says there's 3 and then there's 1 and then there's everybody else. There's Bama, Buckeyes, and Bulldogs. Then 1 tier down, there's Clemson. And then everybody else stacks in behind that. USC, Texas A&M plus 22 and 2,500 respectively.
Can anyone argue against it?
Nope.
That's not on a flagship station of one of those teams that they believe is getting dissed?
Nope.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, listen, you're going to come across people in this market who are going to be like, what a disrespect to Clemson. It's not, guys. It's not a disrespect. Bama's going to be good. The Buckeyes behind C.J. Stroud and Njigba are going to be good. And Georgia's going to be good. Texas says Georgia lost a ton on defense. I'm surprised they are that high, unless it's because their division is so bad. Yeah, and that is one thing that you do have to keep in mind when you have conversations about Vegas odds, is they talk about, they include factors like, all right, let's look at schedules, right? Let's look at strength of schedule. How do I know Bama's going to be good? Bama's playing in the SEC West and is still plus 180. Ohio State has almost twice as long of odds as the number 1 team Bama does. And they're only 50 points better than Georgia, who is 700 plus points better than Clemson, right? 50-point drop in Vegas from Ohio State 2 to Georgia 3. And then a 750-point drop down to Clemson at number 4.
You'd have to also think that, according from what the texter said, Vegas took into account how many players that Georgia lost. And that's the reason why, because they're a defending national champion, you would think they'd be ranked number 1, but they're 3.
I mean, even if you didn't think they'd be ranked number 1, Bama's 120 points better in the odds than Ohio State. And Ohio State's another 50 points better than Georgia. That's a big number. That's a big number. So they're looking at Clemson. They're considering the ACC is down. And here's why it plays into that Dabo mentality. Because for the first time in 7 or 8 seasons now, Dabo can say, hey, little old Clemson, right? Nobody respects us. Nobody believes in us. We had an average year, and now everybody thinks that we're going to fade back off into the shadows. Dabo can say that now, Lonzo, and it's justified, right? Well, if you're a player. If Dabo walks into the room, he prints off the sportsbook odds. He highlights Clemson plus 111 or plus 1,100. So far behind Georgia plus 350, Ohio State plus 300, and Bama plus 180. and he blows it up and he hangs it on the door to the locker room. For the first time in about 7 years, he can point to it and go, boys, nobody believes in you except yourselves. And for the first time in 7 years, he's actually right. The little old Clemson song and dance when you're going to the playoffs every year, listen, that's not a selling point. Guys aren't buying into that, right? I mean, some guys will, but not most guys aren't going to buy into that. Coach, we're the number one team in America. What do you mean, little old us? But for the first time, he can slam this on the wall and go, yeah, see, nobody believes in you. Everybody thinks you guys are dead. Hell, let's call it what it is. Let's talk about what I said earlier in the week. There are Clemson fans that have given up on you. There are Clemson fans who have given up on you and your ability to win a natty. There are Clemson fans who have told Rob Brown they want DJ to transfer, that we can't win until Cade gets in, that they don't trust me. There are Clemson fans who have given up on you guys. And now Vegas says you don't have a chance. You don't got it. You can't do it. And again, for the first time, he's got evidence to prove that people don't believe in him. I don't understand it. Like I said, I think this team is going to be good. I think this team is going to have a chance to be special. Am I sitting here prognosticating 14 wins? No, not at all. Am I sitting here prognosticating an ACC championship? I mean, yeah, but it's more because the ACC is down that I just think Clemson bounces back. But the little old Clemson thing actually works this time around. There's one more reason that I bring up these Vegas odds. And I'll tell you what that reason is when we come back, and it impacts every team in college football. Tell you what it is on the flip side of this break. I'm Rob Brown. He's the great one, Lonzo. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. You're listening to the Fan Upstate. Prisma. Those of you that missed it, earlier this week, we were making fun of Kyler Murray's homework clause, right? And the fact that there was a Twitter account that went and put together a graph where they tracked Kyler Murray's production during the course of the last 3 seasons. And every year, he drops about an average of 6 fantasy points per game. And it always seems to line up with the release of the next Call of Duty game. And it doesn't matter where in the season that release happens. Almost inevitably, when a Call of Duty game drops mid-NFL season, Kyler Murray's stats go down about 6 fantasy points per game. And we started talking about whether or not video games or whatever other hobby have ever impacted you and your job, right? Because it has for me. I've got hobbies that have impacted my life, most of the time for the positive, occasionally to the negative, right? It happens.
What really helps is when you make your hobbies part of your job.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong.
So sports is part of my job now. So if I'm watching a game, it's like, hey, I'm working.
I'm working, exactly right.
Also, I've made it to where video games is part of my job.
Yep.
So I'm working.
If you stay up until 1 in the morning watching Monday Night Football and you have a banking job at 8 a.m., it's probably not the most productive resource or use of your resource of time that you have. But if your job the next day is literally to talk about Monday Night Football, it's show prep, man. And that works out well for me both in business and life, right? Yeah, I'd really like to go to that thing that I really don't want to go to, but unfortunately, Clemson plays at the same time, and I've got to watch that. Sorry, really would love to come to your gender reveal party, but the Gamecocks play Georgia that day, and, I can't miss it. No, I've never heard of a DVR. What are you talking about? Anyway, video games are...
By the way, Rob, you can't live tweet a DVR.
Correct.
DVR'd. So,
that's exactly correct.
That's in case people are wondering, that's why you have to watch it live.
The life of Lonzo and I as content creators, we have to be creating in the moment. Nobody is going to go, hey, that Georgia-South Carolina game ended yesterday. Let's go see what Rob had to think about it. Right? If I start popping off 1,000 tweets watching Georgia-South Carolina the day after it happens, a lot of people are going to be like, nah, I already watched it. We're content creators. All right? We're content creators. So anyway, I downloaded a power washing simulator on my Xbox because I saw some guy on Twitch playing it, and he was talking about, he's like, guys, I can't explain it. It's a dumb game, and I'm addicted. I can't stop power washing fake digital vans and stuff. So it pops up on Xbox Game Pass the other day. I'm like, you know what? Let me see it. Let me see. And I started, and now I'm hooked. I can't stop pressure washing stuff. I was pressure washing until like 1 o'clock this morning. Right? Now, in fairness, I'm in the man cave. So I got one TV that's running sports. I got 2 laptops, both running sports. I got a remote that lets me flip the speakers to whichever one I need to watch at the time. And then I got the Xbox on another TV. So I'm like doing my show prep and seeing what's going on in the world of sports. But I'm just addicted. I can't stop. So my advice to you is don't do it. Because if it catches you like it caught me, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, I've seen, and now I'm hearing even more, how addicted you are to this game. And I'm like, I'm not doing this.
Texter says, Rob, please, as punishment for losing a bet, can the loser have to come for real pressure wash with my company? You know what? I don't hate that as a lost bet punishment.
See, I'm okay with that as long as your company comes to my house to pressure wash my house. Then I'm okay with it.
No, then it's not a lost bet. You're gaining something out of that. A lost bet has to be, if you lose a bet, it's got to be a punishment, right? Not something that benefits you in the end, right? Cody Decker and I, on my nationally syndicated show, which airs tomorrow from 1 to 5 p.m., called Bet for the Cycle on the BetQL Network, available on the Odyssey app and fine Odyssey stations worldwide. Cody Decker and I have a contest going against our production team where every week we pick one game. We each build a 3-leg parlay that must have odds of plus 400 or longer. The first team to hit their parlay, the losing team, has to have their chest or leg, one strip of chest hair or leg hair waxed off live on the air. Cody Decker said he had his chest waxed when he was a rook in MLB. Said it was the worst pain he's ever gone through.
Did he do it on purpose or did he lose?
I don't know if he lost. I'll ask him tomorrow. If it was like a lost bet or if he legit was like, I'm going to wax my chest hair.
Or did the team go, your annoying chest hair is just popping through your, you gotta take care of that.
You ever seen
it's not a good look.
You ever seen the 40-Year-Old Virgin? That scene where Steve Carell has his chest waxed, he did that for real, right? He did that for real. That reaction he has in the movie is genuine because he really had his chest waxed for that. And he told the story years later, and Cody confirmed it. He said, once you have your chest waxed, you can't wear a shirt for a number of hours because you bleed constantly.
I've had close to it. My coach kept getting mad at me for getting my ankles taped. So he stopped using pre-wrap. Pre-wrap is used. Yeah. And so my best friend who was living with me at the time, every Friday night, he would rip the tape off of my ankles. And I can show you something. They can't see it, but the hair has never grown back. Look.
He's right. He's right. He is Olympic swimmer from the calf down.
It just won't grow back. So for an entire season, every night I get home after playing a grueling game every Friday night, and he just ripped the thing off, and you can just feel the hair just being pulled out. So I've had some. So when you ask if I would do it, I've already done it. So
that's the fear for me is I'm gonna get a strip waxed, and then it's just not gonna grow back. So here, by the way,
I'm guessing the heat's probably to lessen the pain. Maybe
I don't know. So anyway, last week, Cody and I picked our 3-leg parlay, which was the Astros-Mariners game. We picked over 6.5 hits for Houston. They had 7. We picked a Carlos Santana hit prop. He just needed a hit. He got a home run. And then we had, who was it? Altuve over 1.5 bags. He needed a double. He got a single. We missed hitting our prop by a half a bag. If Altuve legged it out to a double, we'd have won. We lost it by half of a bag. So the prop bet. But the point is, if you make a bet in the world of sports, whether it's with the coworkers or the fam or in fantasy football or whatever, the punishment has to be a punishment. It can't be something that benefits you in the end, right? Like you have to pressure wash your own house. Well, I got to do that anyway. That's not a punishment. That's a job. I like the idea of an on-air bet where the loser has to go out with this dude's company and pressure wash somebody else's house for an hour.
All right, so I'm down for that if you are, but the problem is a legal would have to get involved and approve it.
Yeah, that's going to be the only issue we have.
Yeah, because that's how that works.
Yeah.
Because there's chance of injury.
Yeah.
I know it's power washing, but that's still it's pretty powerful stuff. You know, you could lose an eye or something.
Lose a groin.
Yeah, you could.
You could lose a groin.
And you don't want to do that. Even at my age, I don't want to lose a groin.
I'll tell you what. Here's what I'm going to do, Texter. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to check with the boss to find out if that's a possibility. If that is a possibility, then during football season, if Diesel and Mark Ryan have the stones to get involved.
Come on, let's not bring them into it because they never will go with it. I mean,
that's true.
You know, they'll find a reason to know well, that's a dumb thing and all this. They won't do it.
But I think if we bring them in and they agree to it up front and one of them loses.
Oh, Diesel's down.
Diesel would be in.
Yeah, because it's pressure washing.
Yeah.
And he would do the same thing that I'm doing, trying to get it done at his house. I mean, you know.
Diesel, I think's in. It's the other guy that I think would take the bet and then be like, oh, guys, I can't. But I think that becomes something he's got to wear on the show, right? That becomes the albatross he's got to wear around the neck on his show every day is, All right, waiting for you to pay off. I will pay that off. If I lose, I will go in. I will go out. I will meet this dude wherever, and I will pressure wash somebody else's house for an hour. So we'll see. We'll save that for football season.
All right, we're not going to pressure wash an entire housing complex,
No,
an apartment.
Hour.
No,
1 hour.
Okay, all right.
1 hour.
Yeah.
60 minutes on the gun. I'm in for that. I'm not going to do it when it's 99 degrees
Have you ever
outside.
pressure washed at all before?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really pressure washed?
Oh, yeah.
You think you can hang for an hour?
Yeah, I can do an hour. It's going to suck.
I don't know that you can.
It's going to suck. But I can do an
I'm
hour.
not doubting you. I think it's something you got to build up to. So, I mean,
To hit the gym first.
Hey, my arms get sore after weed eating. I'm a little worried about doing that.
Where's your
I'm not saying I won't, but I may have to push buttons with my nose the next day. But okay.
I'm in. I think that's a solid punishment. I think it's a solid punishment. Texter, do me a favor. Stick with me. I'm going to find out after the show. And if so, I will see what we need to do to get that signed off on. And when football season gets here, in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, we will come up with a bet that requires the loser to come pressure wash for an hour, and it has to be the night before we have a show the next day.
And don't come out with bets like, let's get Lonzo to bet on Clemson. Yo, man, I pick Clemson to win almost every week. That's easy.
It's going to be a good bet. All right, we'll check back in on that. The point is, it's got to be a punishment.
Make it not be a bunch of numbers because it gets too difficult.
We'll see.
Mr. Betting Show over there, and I have no idea how to do that.
We'll see.
That's unfair.
We'll see when we get there. All right. 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. Text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, to 71307. Give us your thoughts. It's a free-for-all Friday. Texter said, all right, let's go. Also, Baker! Texas said that scene is one of the best from the movie. # Kelly Clarkson. Yeah, that was genuine. He genuinely got
I've
his
never
chest
seen the
waxed.
movie, but I have seen the ads for it and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Genuine reaction. So, yes. Let's put it this way. Last week, Cody and I had to put together our 3-leg parlay for I think we did a 3 o'clock game. We took an hour to build that parlay so that we had every single number to nail it because neither one of us wants to go through that. However, I told a lady friend when we started this contest 4 weeks ago on the air, I was like, hey, because she obviously knows the bets that we have going on the air, and I have made some that have been risky. I haven't lost any yet. That's not true. I lost the Vegemite challenge. That's the one bet I've lost. I had to eat a spoonful of Vegemite. I genuinely almost yacked on air. She knows we make the bets.
Some would say you lost the worst one so far.
Oh, dude, it was awful. I'm not even kidding. I haven't had it happen yet. I think I would rather have an entire leg waxed than eat another spoonful of Vegemite. It was god-awful.
Until he gets that first strip of hair ripped out, and he's like, nah, I'm rethinking this. Give me the Vegemite.
No, it was bad. I almost yacked on air. So, anyway. Hey, let me ask you this while I'm doing this real quick before we take a break. Speaking of bets and punishments. Cody and I had a bet 2 weeks ago. We talked about this on air. The loser of the bet had to dress like Macho Man Randy Savage and do an entire show on the air, introing and outroing every segment in our best Macho Man Randy Savage voice, which for an hour, no big deal. Our show's 4 hours long, into and out of every segment with the Macho Man Randy Savage voice, right? During the home run derby, we made another bet. If Cody won, I had to take over the Macho Man show, right? I had to become Macho Man and do the Macho Man voice in and out of every segment. If I won, Cody still had to do the Macho Man voice, but he had to, on every appearance, that he did in the media, and he does a lot of them during the course of the week that he live streams. He had to dress as Macho Man, and he had to go purchase an inflatable sex doll and dress it up as Miss Elizabeth and put it in the background, but he was not allowed to address it, right? He had to just sit it back there, and he couldn't address it. He just had to let it be. Well, I think this is a heel move from me. Cody forgot about that bet. And if any of you tweet him and tell him this, I am going to ban you from the show. Cody forgot about that bet. So on tomorrow on Cody's show, he is coming in as Macho Man, right? Was supposed to be on the show today, but he picked up a co-hosting job for the day in, I think, Chicago, so he's unavailable. Anyway, Cody forgot about our home run derby bet. So Cody, last week, was like, yep, next week, I'm Macho Man. I'm going to be Macho Man. I'm going to be Macho Man. Forgot about our bet, and I just let it go. I'm like, oh, yeah, all right, cool. Can't wait till next week. Macho Man. Can't wait. Now, my plan has been this week on the show as he's dressed as Macho Man to be like, oh, yeah, by the way, I forgot, Cody. I lost our home run derby prop. That's supposed to be me. And just let him carry on anyway. That's a heel move, right? That's a bad guy move.
Yeah, but it's a heel move by you is not surprising. So, yeah, you know.
Living my life in kayfabe, baby. All right, let's take a break. Actual sports when we come back to round out the hour of the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Always when I have to pee, you go an extra 5 minutes.
All right, we need a different sign that's not just I need a break, but I need.
It's not about me though, so it's about the show. So I'm willing to hold it, you know. But it doesn't mean I'm not gonna complain about it.
Fair enough. Destination unknown. Ruby, 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 Soho.
All right, so the outfield. Are they considered? Would you consider them classic rock?
Trying
to think of who the outfield is.
No, I know the outfield. I just want to use your love tonight.
Yeah, which is like the
Josie's on a vacation far away.
only outfield songs.
Come around and talk it over.
Yes.
Attaboy. Good ball.
Wow, that was not even close.
Followed it up with an absolute brick.
I got so excited about the first one.
Understandable. It was a good ball.
It's completely under the table again. That's what was amazing.
Yeah.
About the first shot. Oh. So, do you consider them classic rock? I don't know if I do. I mean, it's got guitar in it. Obviously, he's got that riff at the beginning.
Well, we're at a point now where it's like, is stereotypical.
So rock changed in the '80s,
right?
So it's no longer like Boston and stuff like
right.
that. It's no longer Kiss, things that you might consider classic rock. I don't know. Yes, Rolling Stones.
AC/DC.
So maybe it's because the music changed in that era, so that makes it classic rock because that became rock during that day. But I'm curious about like an outfield song was outfield played on rock stations in the 80s. Because I listened to the top 40 station at that time. And I did listen to the rock station, but the rock station there was playing classic rock, which was Stones and all that kind of stuff, which would have been classic rock at that point in the 80s. I would almost say that there's some Prince songs. Well, I would say there's some Prince songs that are more rock than the outfield.
Yeah, I mean, the outfield's definitely, pop, like 80s pop rock. They weren't glam rockers. I would even argue glam rock is more rock than the outfield.
We've had a discussion before because they also have Men at Work, which, Land Down Under is not really rock to me. But it's got to be difficult because each decade you've got to add stuff as you go further away from the other stuff. What becomes classic, it's got to be hard to pick. I'm sure grunge should be classic rock by now, shouldn't it?
Yes. Like, Nirvana is probably maybe. Robin Lonzo with you on a beautiful upstate Friday afternoon. Nope, morning. Here in the on the Fan Upstate. I'm Rob. He is Lonzo.
It's afternoon somewhere. Maybe. I don't know.
It's always 5 o'clock somewhere. All right. We talked a little bit about it. I'm going to come back to that betting odds thing. I was supposed to do it in the last segment, but we had a conversation about what it means to lose a sports bet. If you lose a sports bet, it has to be a punishment, not a service that helps you, right? Anyway, Vegas has updated their Heisman Trophy odds. And I'm going to come back to the national championship odds in the next segment because I got more to say about it than I'm going to be allowed here. Anyway, they have updated their Heisman Trophy odds for this year. And I was kind of interested in what they were going to look like. So I went and pulled them. And no surprise, or at least not to me. No surprise, at least not to me. But your Vegas odds-on favorite to win the Heisman Trophy this year is C.J. Stroud, quarterback of the Ohio State University. Your second Vegas favorite, no surprise, is last year's winner, Bryce Young, quarterback at Alabama. Now, CJ's plus 200. Bet a hundo, win 2 back, 2-1. Bryce Young's plus 350.
I don't know why they do that. No one's going to win 2 again, ever.
If somebody's going to, it's going to be Bryce Young. Or at least he's the best odds I think we've had in a while, right? Because Bama is also your national championship favorite. And if he can guide them there, that's a big argument. CJ Stroud's kind of in that same boat. Number 2 on the Vegas odds to win a natty. So one of those 2 cats. Third is USC quarterback Caleb Williams, plus 600. John Robinson is plus 1,600. Quinn Ewers, quarterback of Texas, plus 2,000. Checking in 6th and actually up in the odds DJ Uiagalelei is plus 2,000. 20 to 1 odds. Bet a hundo, win $2,000 back. DJ 2 weeks ago was plus 2,500. So if you banked on him 2 weeks ago, you actually have a chance to make some money here.
So he's, they're in camp and he's throwing and people are seeing what he's doing.
And Vegas is liking it.
But they're not in camp. You're
You're
missing my point.
Yeah.
What did he do?
Well, those numbers did.
So he showed up at ACC Media Days and it changed his number.
So if I recall correctly, the plus 2,500 number was floating around during spring camp. So we did get to see him a little bit in spring. Granted, it's early, but I think the combination of, the story floating around was that DJ lost 15 to 17 pounds. We talked to Don Munson on the show at ACC Media Days. He said DJ's lost about 30 pounds worth of baby fat.
So he talked and it made his numbers go up. Good for him. I just think it's odd that it changed like that without him doing anything.
It doesn't surprise me all that much. And it doesn't surprise me because of the spring camp he had. Because when I went eyes on DJ from across the table in our interview last week, he looks better. And when you talk to the guy, there's no lack of confidence. A lot of guys would have a year like DJ had last year, and they'd be shaken, and you could see it. You can't see that from him. He looks confident, right? I just find it interesting that DJ has jumped up. Not only has he jumped up, but he's jumped Anthony Richardson. He jumped Will Anderson Jr. He jumped Dylan Gabriel. He jumped Travion Henderson. He jumped JT Daniels. He jumped Kadon Slovis. He jumped Jackson Dart. He jumped Tyler Van Dyke. All those guys had equal or shorter odds to win a Heisman, and DJ jumped all of them in the Heisman Vegas odds. Guys, I think he's going to have a better year. So does Las Vegas. When we come back, we talked about those natty odds. One more reason they're important. I'll tell you what it is on the flip side. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
I thought it was Anthony Blinken. He said Anthony. I saw that, Keegan. We haven't talked about it, but I saw that.
Yeah, I mentioned it a minute ago. No, I didn't mention it. We talked about it, but not that it dropped. I wonder, I get that that's a PR move, but do they think that it makes it less silly?
I think that Kyler Murray's the one who leaked it, which would be kind of a boss move to leak it, and then suddenly all the bad PR the Cardinals get, then they have to drop it. And then
they did get some bad PR.
There was a bunch of tweets of him. I'm back on tonight, boys.
He texted the COD group thread.
So I'm curious, Stream. Rob has never seen The Last Dragon. Have any of you guys seen The Last Dragon? I'm curious about that. And if you haven't, I get it. It's kind of a maybe, I don't want to say niche, but it was, I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it when it came out.
I have found, though, that people who watch kung fu movies watch a lot of kung fu movies.
Yes, Trey, it is Bruce Leroy.
People who watch kung fu movies watch a lot of kung fu movies.
Well, this was made by
People who don't watch kung fu movies have watched 0 kung fu movies. Right? Like, if you're into that genre, you've seen all of them. And if you're not into the genre, you've seen none of them. You don't, like...
I haven't seen all of them, but it was a Barry Gordy film, and I think the majority of the cast is black, and it was the first time it had been done like that, and it was kind of akin to some of the 70s movies. It's a really good movie. Okay, so Keegan and Trey both have seen it. Sho'nuff is a classic villain.
The reason it came up, for those of you watching and listening, was because Dwight Howard showed up at a WWE Open tryout ahead of SummerSlam and cut a promo. I was listening to it in the office today, and I guess he makes a reference to that movie.
Well, he's doing Sho'nuff is what he's doing, and I just happened to be in the hallway and I heard it. Okay, Josh has seen it also.
Damn, so it's just me. Okay. God, Keegan.
No, Josh is quoting it word for word. I mean, he could be looking it up, but I don't think so.
You ready for my fantasy booking meme? I was watching the Daniel Garcia promo before the Dana Bryan match.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, and after I beat you tonight, I'm going to be known as the world's best technical sports entertainer. And now I want a feud, a full roster feud between guys who want to be called wrestlers versus guys who are sports entertainers.
Well, that's the whole thing that Jericho's been doing.
I know
because
him.
it got a pop and people got mad about them because the AEW fans, absolutely hate WWE, which I don't get. You can love more than one thing. You can do that. It's possible, but some people are myopic and they can only pick one thing.
Ooh.
They only have room in their life for one fandom.
Listen to Mr. Haughty over there breaking out the SAT words. Myopic. I like it.
I'm sorry, I went out of character.
Well, everybody breaks kayfabe every now and then. Lonzo's an astute intellectual.
I've just heard the word a couple times and just thought I'd try it.
All right, dig it. I'm gonna get into those natty odds that we were talking a second ago. But I read during the break an article from On3 Sports, and they did an interview with Jimbo Fisher. And Jimbo said, quote, about NIL, quote, everybody's on a different rule set. There's no standard. It's all based on everybody's own state laws. He's all upset about it. Yes, Jimbo. And there's a reason that it's set up that way. It is what some of us have been griping and complaining about from the beginning. It's not that we are anti-NIL. The problem is that when this thing was coming down the pipe for years, this was coming down the pipe. And you guys had, and by you guys, I mean the NCAA, years to jump out ahead of it. And he didn't. And he didn't jump out ahead of it so far, and you were so poor in the handling of the setup to the situation that when it did get here, It was too late. It was too late. There was no way to run to set the thing up in a way that everybody was going to be happy about it. So the only option at that point was to go state to state and let the states decide what their own rules were about this thing. That's the problem, Jimbo. The problem remains that there was an option on the table from the outset to prevent this from becoming a runaway train, and that opportunity was missed. Because people in college football are always focused on the short-term profit and not long-term stability. So they were so caught up in all the other discussions, conference expansion, playoff expansion, et cetera, they were so caught up in every other aspect of college football, which was immediate money-making opportunities, that you skipped right over this one, which was arguably the biggest game changer of them all. All right, that's all I wanted to say. I want to go back to this. We talked about the NCAA championship odds. And as I mentioned, they're very, very interesting. Alabama is your odds-on favorite to win the national championship this year. They are plus 180. Ohio State plus 300. Georgia plus 350. Clemson is fourth at plus 1,100. That's a big drop. It's a big drop from 3 to 4. Then to get from 4 to 5, those odds double again as they go from 1,100 to plus 2,200, right? So the odds nearly double from 3 to 4 from Georgia to Clemson, and they exactly double from Clemson to USC. And then once you go USC plus 2,200, Texas A&M plus 2,500, the next is a near double again to get from Texas A&M to Michigan and Notre Dame, who are both plus 4,500. Okay? So, let's take a look at that. It's an interesting number to me because the one thing that I've heard is that the NCAA wants to increase parity, right? And let me just make sure that I'm not making an assumption that's incorrect here. Is there anybody that is against parity in college football? Is there anybody that's against seeing more teams being involved in the playoffs in Natty?
Let me speak for myself and many Rabbit fans out there that I don't want parity. I just want my team to win every single year.
And I'm sure that there are a lot of people that feel like they're in that boat, right? I think all of us do. But if my team can't win it every year, right? Do we want to see Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, and Clemson being the 4 teams that are in it every year, with the occasional Notre Dame appearance, and maybe we get lucky every now once in a while and there's a dark horse that jumps in? Or would you rather see parity? We're allotted, and some of you may say no. Some of you may say no.
The one thing I'd really like to see is there being 4 teams that could actually win it, because usually there's a 4th team that's in there that should not be in there that always gets their butts beat.
It shouldn't be, but there's nobody else, right? But I agree. The point of this is we are 1 NIL season deep. So it would be disingenuous to say that there's not some factor of involvement of NIL in the way these odds have shaped out. But it's a mitigating variable at best, right? It's not an enormous variable. Because the guys who are signed up for NIL have been there for 1 year. The majority of folks with NIL deals were already at these schools, right? DJ Uyunglele is not at Clemson because he got Dr. Pepper money. Bryce is not at Alabama because he got what is it? Milo's sweet tea money, right? Those guys were already there. If NIL didn't exist, DJ's still the quarterback at Clemson. Bryce is still the QB at Alabama. CJ Stroud's still the quarterback at the Ohio State University. So it's a mitigating factor at best. It's a minute variable at best. Everybody has been saying since the everybody who's anti-NIL has been saying since its onset, it's going to decrease parity in college football. Guys, I'm looking at these Vegas numbers. Is there parity in these numbers? Is there parity in Alabama? Alabama plus 180. Michigan, an institution in college football, is plus 4,500. Not plus 450, which would be almost 4 times the long odds of Alabama. 4,500.
And it pains me to say, but what did Michigan do last year?
They were pretty good last year. Beat Ohio State.
They did.
Is this parity? Is this parity? I would say maybe 5, 6, 7%, and I'm making this number up. But I'd say 5, 6, 7% of the impact of these odds are from NIL. Maybe you got a couple of transfers that switched schools because they realized they could get NIL money elsewhere. But it was year number 1. Most of the guys that are on a team getting fat NIL money were already there. It was just a nice benefit to the decision they had already made. They didn't come there because of NIL. They were already there and then got NIL. There may be a couple of impact freshmen this year. A couple of impact freshmen who made their decision based on NIL. But if you are the type of athlete that has got pre-scholarship NIL money on the table, you probably had a school picked all along, and now you just get the benefit.
Seems to be that there was controversy earlier in the year about some certain school getting a lot of recruits, and it was, said that it was because of NIL. The thing is, we're not going to see true impact for like 4 or 5 years, probably, unless we get to the next cycle of recruiting and there's a shift, and one of the powers that have always been there suddenly is getting upstaged by some other team.
Which, by the way,
has a lot of money.
Which, by the way, would increase parity, not decrease it.
It would to a certain degree, unless that team we'll just throw Texas A&M in there for an example. Just
by the way,
for no reason except for,
By the way, for the records.
First name that popped in my head.
Is plus 2,500 in the Vegas odds. Again, Bama plus 180. You bet $100 on Bama, you don't even get a full 2-to-1.
You can bring in the best guys in the world, but you got to be able to coach them. We'll see. But if the following year happens and Texas A&M wins it again, and suddenly Alabama is moving down the recruiting list, Ohio State's moving down the recruiting list, and then year after year after year, Texas A&M wins, and then you possibly can attribute to the fact that they're paying more for their players. If that leads to winning, then it will have shifted. I don't know that that's parity if it just ends up being the team with the most money to give to players ends up winning. And I mean, the obvious example is that the Yankees don't win every year, or whoever pays a lot of money doesn't win every year. But we'll see how it works in college football, because this is where it's going, or it appears to be going, at least from a recruiting standpoint.
So I would say a couple of things. As you have said multiple times, Lonzo, correctly, by the way, as you have said a number of times, it is too early to make a definitive statement about where things are heading. It's too early, right? as I've mentioned a couple of times correctly, CJ Stroud isn't at Ohio State because of NIL. He was already there. DJ, Bryce, none of these guys are at their school because of NIL. They were already there. Now, the next couple of years, we might start seeing guys that pick their school because of NIL. But remember, if you are talented enough out of high school that you are getting NIL money before you get to school, you probably are going to have the exact same list of schools calling you. The only question is, does one of them have a Garnet Trust style organization that's able to make an offer that is bigger than every other school? So maybe there is, three high school recruits that pick their school based primarily on NIL. I'm not saying it won't be a factor, but primarily.
I don't think it has to do with one or two individuals. I think it's going to be a point where a bunch of the top recruits all go to one place, and then you find out it's because of the money.
Maybe. But again, that's so much money on the table, and it's so early in the process. I don't know that we can put a finger on it and go, this is definitive. It's not yet. All right? So here's the point that I'm driving at here. Non-NIL variable, or at the very worst, a fraction of variability produced by NIL for this year's Vegas odds. And it's the same four teams again. It's Bama, it's Ohio State, it's Georgia, it's Clemson. Again. To the people that have said NIL is going to kill parity in college football. Guys, there is no parity in college football. You have 3 or 4 mainstays, and then you got a handful of... Here, let me do that. Let me do it this way. Let's play a very simple game. I know we're well out front of the beginning of the college football season. But Lonzo, I'm going to list the teams starting with the highest Vegas odds, and I want you to cut me off when you think we get to the start of the group of teams that cannot win a national championship. Alabama, national championship caliber team.
Come on. Keep going.
Ohio State.
Keep going.
Georgia.
Keep going.
Clemson.
Keep going.
USC.
Stop.
4. And remember, the Vegas odd jump from number 3 to number 4 is 3 times longer odds. Exponentially longer odds from number 3 to number 4. There isn't parity in college football, guys. I love college football. I love it. It's a great sport. I've literally based my career around it at this point, right? Because while I'm an every sport guy, I'm an NFL guy, I'm a soccer guy, I'm a basketball guy, I'm a tennis guy, and I'm an Olympics guy. While I'm all those guys, I'm not dumb. What sport pays the bills on this station? College football. What sport turns numbers on this station? College football. When I post my podcasts throughout the week, do you know what podcast gets the most downloads and listens every week? College football segments. I love college football. But stop pretending like it's perfect. Don't hit me with NIL and transfer portal is going to kill parity. No. There are only 2 options available. Number 1, nothing changes and we don't really have parity. Is that it would be parity if the odds were like plus 180, plus 210, plus 250, plus 250, plus 270, plus 275, plus 300, plus 310, plus 325, plus 350, plus 350, plus 370, plus 380, plus 385, plus 400. That's parity. The NFL has parity. This isn't parity. This is asinine. Now, The other reason we watch college football is what? Because maybe there's a dark horse. Maybe Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams at USC shock the world. And all of a sudden, the plus 2,200 dark horse charges into the playoffs. Maybe. That's what it's one of the things that makes college football great. But to hit me with NIL and transfer portal are going to kill college parity. What college football parity? I just gave you the odds. Do those odds scream parity to you? Or does it scream power is controlled by a handful of dynasties and then everybody else getting their asses kicked until they get lucky one year? That's what it looks like to me. Having a dark horse, a plus 2,200 USC, a plus 2,500 A&M, a plus 4,500 Michigan, making a run and getting to the playoffs, that's not parity. That's a team defying the odds. And it happens. But when it does, we talk about it for a very long time. It becomes story. It becomes legend. Right? When Boise State beats Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl, it becomes a legendary game. When Cincinnati becomes the first non-Power 5 team to jam their spot into the playoffs, it becomes legend, something we talk about for years. That's not parity. Parity would be if every year 3 of the 4 teams were different. But they're not. It's the same ones over and over. So if your argument is, it's the same as yesterday when I had people arguing, well, this is offensive to all the kids paying their way through college. Right, but that's not the same thing. A dark horse defying the odds to make a run is not parity. Parity is when there's 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 teams, all of whom have a really good chance at being national champ. Vegas is really good at this, you guys. They're really good at this. The numbers are the way the numbers are because what they don't want is everybody to throw their money at Alabama. They want you to go, damn, USC plus 2,200. Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, Heisman Trophy potential. That's a team I believe can be a dark horse. And you throw a hundo at the Trojans, who aren't going to win it. So they get to keep your hundo, and that goes to pay back the Alabama fans who put a hundo on Bama, but you only got to pay them 180 back, right? Vegas is really good at this. Parity would be if it was a bunch of teams that were all like plus 500, plus 600 or lower, right? 12, 13, 14 teams that are plus 300 or lower. Or plus 500, 600 or lower. But you don't have that. You got 3 teams. Bama plus 180, Buckeyes plus 300, Bulldogs plus 350. And then it is a 3 times odds drop to team number 4. Number 4. Not 8, not 9, not 10. 3 times as long odds for number 4. Not 3 times as long odds as the number 1 team in the country, right? If Clemson was 3 times longer odds than Bama, I'd say you had parity because now they're sitting at plus 400, plus 500. But they have 3 times the long odds as the number 3 team, the team that's 1 spot ahead of them. And they have twice as good as odds as team number 5. A 3 times drop from Georgia to Clemson, and a 2 times drop. And by the way, keep in mind, the 3 times drop from Georgia to Clemson is like 800 something points. The 2 times drop from Clemson to USC is another 11 to 1 gathering of odds from 3 to 4. That's not parity, my dude. That's a stacked field. Scratch that. The opposite of a stacked field. That's a stacked top tier and then a field of nothing. That's all it is. That's all it is. just because I'm curious. Let's see. South Carolina odds, Alonzo, to win a national championship, plus 20,000 to 1. Bet $100 if South Carolina wins the Natty, you win 20 grand back.
What if I bet $5?
I'm bad at math. Did I turn my own mic off? That's still 3-2. I got 38 minutes to blow it. Let's take a break. We're back after this. My name is Rob Brown. He's Lonzo. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Concert.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a fan of Journey, you know, like me, then we have some fantastic news for you. Presenting the Gilstrap Family Dealerships Tribute to the Ages. If you love Journey, don't miss Trial by Fire, the ultimate Journey tribute band live at Cowboy Up, 701 Easley Bridge in downtown Greenville, Friday, August There's a feeling I get when I look to the west.
By the way, Josh, I just want you to know if you're still watching, I was just kidding. I mean, you don't throw those quotes out without, actually knowing them. Also, no thank you, I wish. Also, catches bullets with his teeth.
All right, quick update for tomorrow. Mark Ryan and I were scheduled to broadcast live from Panthers camp, their VIP event and open practice. We were supposed to be on the air tomorrow 4 to 6, but we've just got an email from the Panthers due to expected inclement weather in Spartanburg tomorrow. The VIP event has been moved. We are right now efforting to pull together the broadcast for you guys from 10 to noon. We will have an update for you if you were looking to come out and hang out with us. We may or may not know by the end of this show. If not, tune into Offsides with Mark Ryan at 3 o'clock. He will let you know. We are potentially going to go from 10 to noon tomorrow. The Panther practice will be right after that, so you can come out, hang out with us, watch me and Mark Ryan do the show from 10 to noon, and then walk over and watch the Panthers open practice tomorrow. But again, we do not know for sure yet. We don't know for sure yet if that is going to happen. Again, we will let you guys know later on this afternoon if we are going to be able to go from 10 to noon tomorrow live from Wofford. So pay attention to the social media and tune into Offsides with Mark Ryan coming up at 3. We will let you know what tomorrow's show looks like.
By the way, if you are going tomorrow, since Rob's going to be there, make sure you do your most obnoxious biker that you possibly can when he comes out on the field.
Oh, please. Please. If you walk into the building tomorrow and just scream that over Mark Ryan, I will lose my mind. Just wait till he starts talking and then go, Baker!
I'm not opposed to driving to Spartanburg, walking into that lobby, yelling Baker, turning around, going and getting my car and driving back home. I'm not opposed to doing that myself.
I'm not sure what tomorrow looks like. We will let you know. But if you do show up and you walk in the building and just scream Baker as loud as you can, you will make me laugh out loud on the air. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that in advance.
By the way, don't do it while they're in the middle of an interview, because that would be
not if
rude.
I'm interviewing
if it's just Mark and Rob sitting there, just go for it.
Baker! So good. So good. All right, phone line's open, 844-FAN-PHONE, if you want to jump in here before the show comes to its stellar conclusion, 844-326-3663. You can also get at us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we'll read those live on the air. You can also tweet us at The Rob Brown Show. You can tweet us at Lonzo on Word. You can tweet us at The Fan Upstate. All right, what do we got here? Oh, you know what we did not get to yet? And we'll do it here since we got just a couple of minutes that we got to get out. Texture says, Fan, I double dog dare you, Alonzo. Bet you won't.
That Alonzo guy, he's up for stuff. That guy will do just about anything.
Alonzo is cray.
Alonzo's, he's certifiable.
He's cray. Texture said, I'll do it. Texture says, consider it done. You know what's going to happen is, in my head, one guy.
I'm still working on that email, man.
Yeah.
I might accomplish it before the day's over.
In my head, one of y'all was going to walk into the building and go, Baker! While Mark was talking. And I just realized I may have set off a parade of people screaming Baker at us.
All right, you can look at that negatively, or you can look at that positively. That means that people are listening to the station.
Influencer.
Absolutely. How can anyone get mad about that?
Oh, I'll love it. I will love it. And so the only thing that potentially backfires is after Baker number 10, when the big boss who's going to be there looks over at me like, you absolute boat.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He's not going to be in there where you guys are. By the way, Steven is asking where the setup is. They're going to be in the basketball stadium.
Yeah, so the way it's set up is it's in the Wofford basketball gym, and they do a big like party inside the concourse of the gym where they got food and stuff set up. And then we are in the entrance to the basketball court. So you walk in, there's a big open entrance lobby area, and then you walk through some doors into the gym.
It's kind of unfair for us to say this because only VIPs can get in there, I think.
I have no idea.
I'm trying to remember, but I believe it may be that way.
Dexter just said, I'll go to all Mark's pregame shows this year and scream it in the grocery store. Baker!
If you're going to do it, you got to do it right before he comes on the air to do his thing that he does that scares everybody in the grocery store. You got to get him before he gets everybody else.
Oh, man. I'm going to get fired.
No, that would be me because this is all my fault. For once, when I'm saying it's my fault, it's my fault.
It's actually my fault.
Yeah, it is my fault.
Looking for that email today.
Josh says the Armada will abide.
I love it. I love it. All right, so real quick, we won't spend a ton of time on this. We got just a couple of minutes left in the segment, but for those of you that have been following the saga of Vince McMahon since its unexpected retirement tweet a week ago. Has it been a week already? My goodness, a week ago today.
Yeah, it dropped. It was that Friday news drop last week.
Friday news dump. It is no longer just the WWE board of directors that are looking into the alleged hush money payments that Vince McMahon gave to former female employees, according to the Wall Street Journal. And we wondered what news the Wall Street Journal was going to drop that prompted Vince, Mr. I don't care if I just got accused of defrauding investors. I'm putting myself on TV and I'm putting myself over Kennedy McMahon. For him to just retire, not go on TV, not give a big speech, whatever, to just send out one brief tweet saying I'm stepping away, we wondered what the Wall Street Journal news dump was going to be. And now we know, according to a new Wall Street Journal report, federal prosecutors and the Securities and Exchange Commission are now looking into those payments made by McMahon after his resignation last week. Sources said it is the federal investigation that hastened McMahon's decision to retire from all creative and corporate duties. Earlier this week, an 8K filing, I don't know what that is, but it's got a letter and a number, so it must be important. An 8K filing with the SEC mentioned that the WWE, quote, may receive in the future regulatory, investigative, and enforcement inquiries, subpoenas, and demands arising from, related to, or in connection with the recent revelation that WWE would have to amend their previous financial reports to include the over $14.5 million that McMahon paid to the former employees. WWE would go on to note that the payment should have been recorded as expenses, it was expensive, but expenses. And even if McMahon paid the non-disclosure agreements and funded the $14.6 million out of his own wallet, it was still to WWE's benefit and should have been documented in their records. The Wall Street Journal report notes that WWE said McMahon, quote, has or will, end quote, pay all $14.6 million personally, suggesting some payments have yet to be concluded. McMahon's net worth has increased by $144 million since the news of his retirement broke, mainly because, and this I find almost comical, WWE stock went up about 7% immediately after Vince announced his retirement.
Yeah, when do I? All right, I looked up what an 8K filing is because I was curious about this. And a form that is filed by public companies to notify their shareholders and Security Exchange Commission when an unscheduled material event takes place. So this has to do with shares.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This has to do with shares. When you start doing that, you're like in Martha Stewart inside trading type thing.
Yeah.
This will get you in jail, possibly.
When the SEC gets involved,
Not that. It's probably like the most in 1 week.
was that 4?
Yeah, that's 4.
That's a bad week for Lonzo. That's a rough week for Zoe. When the SEC gets involved and it's got nothing to do with Nick Saban, you're in trouble.
Which is what I was going to say before, I forgot to turn my mic on. I'm blaming it on the injury.
There's a scene in Batman the Animated Series where the Joker says, I will fight Batman, but even I'm not crazy enough to take on the IRS. That's basically what this is, right? When the feds came a call in, WWE was like, nope, later. You got to go, VKM.
So they found something on Vince, and they're going to make sure they take him down because obviously all these guys are wrestling fans, and they want Triple H in charge, and this is how they're doing it.
Oh, listen, I have not spoken to anybody.
It's a better storyline than's been written in WWE in like a decade.
I have not spoken to a single wrestling fan that thinks that the wrestling in WWE is going to do anything but get better, right? Like I said last week, and I'm glad.
Especially when they have special meetings about something.
Cost me a Paul Heyman interview, damn it. I am glad that this Wednesday, AEW put on what appears to have been a pretty good Wednesday Night Dynamite. Put on a pretty good show. But the last 3 before that were not good. And I said, with H coming to Creative's head, with Steph coming to CEO head, and with Nick Khan, who was expected to be just a Vince yes man, not being that so far, AEW's in trouble. I mean that. They are in trouble now. But the off the field, if you will, the out of ring stuff is very, very interesting. The feds are involved now. That's big. That's big. Because at the end of the day, while the wrestling will get better, if the feds step in and start investigating your company, usually that means good things are about to happen, right? So WWE itself as a company may be in trouble because there are going to be questions like, where was the oversight, right? How did nobody catch that 14.6 mil were gone? Nobody went to Vince and was like, hey, Vince, you're cutting checks for $14.6 million. What's that all about there, big guy?
This is a time where we've seen in the past where companies like WCW, ECW, get purchased. The next thing you know, you're seeing Shad Khan, not Nick Khan, on WWE television.
I don't even.
No. We're going Shad here, so he can say to his son, "No, I own WWE."
Live from Panama City Beach. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a few minutes from here. We will wrap up our week of broadcasting. Texter said, fan, good show today. 2 side fingers up. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate that. I'm assuming you were telling me I'm number 11. Thank you. Texter said, Rob, thanks for the life advice earlier. That's why I keep listening to the show. Yeah, man. We're in your corner, buddy. If we can brighten your day for 3 hours, that's what the hell we're going to do. Back after this to wrap up the week on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
If someone makes their way into
downtown, walking around,
into that auditorium and yells, "Biker!"
Baker!
It's going to be so loud in there because you know how much that thing echoes.
Skrilla says he has The Last Dragon on DVD. I think Alonzo does too, actually.
I do. Absolutely do. It was highly quoted around the neighborhood for quite some time. And he also said, I have the glow. By the way, I do have the glow on my Spotify. It's a really good song.
The Glow?
It's a song from
From that movie?
yeah.
Texas said Vince paid less for WWE than for his settlement. Good reference, lad. Good reference. Clevin.
I was waiting for him to read it because
Good
I didn't get the
reference.
reference. So
Kevin Malone is the dumb accountant in The Office, and there's an episode where he starts to realize that he's bad at his job, and his other accountant colleague talks about his magic number of Clevin, which is if the numbers don't add up in accounting and he can't figure out why, he just plugs in his own made-up number, Clevin, to balance the formula out.
I think engineering does that sometimes. Well, you know what that is. And then they start using really big words.
Clevin.
I'm going to have to get on this thing when we get off the air, too, because I got to make sure someone's available to come in and work that tomorrow from the producer stand.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So Roy just sent me an invite. So does that mean it's official?
Probably.
Ooh, I feel bad for the setup crew. They got to be there at 7 a.m. now. Ugh.
Wait a minute. There's a setup crew?
Yeah, I'm going. You think I'm setting myself up? For the record, stream.
Oh,
I
you're.
set myself up at every remote. I'm the only one who does it.
Well, we used to have those. So
Yeah.
I was
The
thinking.
setup crew is Roy.
Okay, I was thinking about, okay, so what's the problem if there's actually a setup crew? Then there shouldn't be a problem with a lot of things. They usually do have a tent and stuff set up outside for giveaways. And
Yeah.
stuff. I get the reference, Josh, even though I've never seen that movie, but I know what movie that is.
Just go straight into it. Should we just go straight into it?
No, because it's I mean, I can if you want.
Yeah, why not?
I got enough.
Yeah.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right, time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on the internets, and he will tell everyone why it is trending. I'm trying to read my own writing on the last one. What in the world was I doing there? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. The first thing that's trending is Ben Affleck.
So Ben Affleck is, I guess he's returning as Batman. Is that what I'm to understand? He's going to return. He's got one more run in him. From what I understand, he's going to reprise his role as the masked vigilante in the next Aquaman movie. Did I see that correctly earlier
Yeah,
today?
Jason Momoa dropped that yesterday.
Listen to Momoa out here just giving out
No
the
one's
secrets.
going to say anything to him. It's like, he's going to be like, yeah, because I wanted to.
Yeah. Why'd you give out the secret, Jason Momoa? Because who's going to stop me? I'm Jason Momoa.
He's one of the few guys, well, I mean, aside from Henry Cavill, he's one of those guys that looks like they could actually be a superhero. It's like trying to tell Dwayne Johnson something. You just don't.
Listen, Henry Cavill and Jason Momoa are the embodiment of the phrase "life's not fair," right? Like, life's not fair. Those dudes should not be allowed to be that cool as people and also that attractive. Like, guys, we get it. Stop. Stop being cool. Stop making me like you. I need to hate you because I'm worthless.
It's all about jealousy. But you know what?
Yes!
Also, both those guys, they could be our friends. If they were in this building, those would be dudes that you'd want to hang with.
100%.
For sure.
Henry Cavill builds his own gaming computers. Jason Momoa is just a cool, hilarious dude. And they get to look like that. The world's not fair.
I picture Cavill being in the office with us and Momoa doing cross-training with Diesel.
100%.
All right, the next thing that's trending is Road Dogg.
So I think I saw this yesterday, but I saw a report yesterday. Road Dogg, about a week and a half ago, he was relatively unflattering about AEW.
Actually, it was yesterday. He was on Busted Open. Well, that part, yeah. But here's the reason why he's trending, because we're running out of time. He's trending because he said he's begged Tony Khan for a job, but that's not why he should be trending. On the same podcast, they asked him, what's it going to be like with Triple H in charge? And he said, it will be as good as the Black and Gold was.
Yeah.
What everyone wants to hear, that he's really excited about Triple H being in charge, and that's his buddy, and that he would love to go back and work on NXT. They wouldn't want to work on the main roster. Then he said that he's been begging Tony Khan to give him a job because AEW needs help.
Yeah. So he was relatively unflattering about AEW about a week ago. And then he announced that, or he said on the podcast that he asked Khan for a job and Khan didn't give him one. Now, in fairness, like you said, he did say he wanted the job because AEW's in trouble and needed help, but I don't necessarily know that I agree with that. And if there's one person in this room who's justified to speak about Road Dogg, my tag team partner.
That's right. Your
It's
tag
me.
team partner. If you don't know.
Anyway, I don't know, man. Like, I agree with him about Triple H. Like I said, WWE, I think, has a real opportunity to clearly climb back upon the throne with no challenge.
Well, we know there's going to be changes Saturday, Rob, don't we?
We sure do, thanks to not Paul Heyman being on the show.
We do. We'll see. We know who is going to be here in town next week, though. Lacey
do.
Evans. We're going to be in the first
American
front
hero,
row.
Lacey
Yes.
Evans, who deserves your respect, and you will show it to her.
Absolutely. The next thing that's trending is Johnny Gargano. There's a lot of wrestling stuff. There just
There's
is.
a lot of wrestling stuff. So yesterday I texted Alonzo about this. Seth Rollins sent out a tweet that was like apologizing to fans for not having a match at SummerSlam. He's like, I worked hard to get there, and I apologize to you. And H sent back a quote tweet that said, I see you. And, of course, everybody jumped on that. The assumption is that H is going to bring out one of his NXT babies to come out and wrestle Seth Rollins if they don't stick Seth in a triple threat or have him replace Lesnar outright. And one of the assumptions, my initial one included, was that might be Johnny Gargano, who Triple H is a big fan of. And the belief is that one of the reasons that Gargano did not re-sign with NXT was because it wasn't H's NXT anymore. So there's a lot of people looking forward to seeing if maybe Johnny Gargano, because Gargano and Rollins would put on a banger.
They would, but Gargano's trending because he showed up on Impact last night. But it was a tribute to one of his friends. And we've seen crossover tributes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that could be all it is. But he did show up on Impact last night. All right, we got time for one more. Amanda Nunes is trending.
So I don't know why particularly she's trending.
I think just because she's fighting.
But she's got a big fight this weekend. And again, I told you yesterday on Fight Club, which you should listen to every Thursday at 11:20. We talk all things combat sports in the upstate. I think she wins this weekend. I genuinely think she's the anti-Rousey. Ronda Rousey lost the fight to Holly Holmes, and it broke her as a person. Nunes, I think, is the opposite. I think she finds that fire back. I think she wins.
Nah, Pena's going to win.
We'll see. We'll bring it all down on Monday. That's it for us, kids. Stay tuned. Mark Ryan takes you offsides at 3 o'clock. He will have the announcement about tomorrow's Panthers special. If we go, it'll be at 10 to noon. He'll let you know if that's confirmed later on. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Have a great weekend, everybody. We're back on Monday to do it all over again. Thanks for listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. I was trying to decide if I wanted to say brother or yell Baker one more
Yeah,
time.
I'm disappointed no Baker
Because
there.
I think that I wonder if that gag dies next week. You know?
Not on this show. Not for a while.
That's it. I feel that with James Spader on voice alone. I have serious voice envy. You have voice envy? Could you imagine me but with James Spader's voice? I'd be in LA doing radio right now if I had James Spader's voice. Bye everybody. Thanks for hanging out. See you Monday. Have a